Okay, let's just go over the markets and what happened. So it's very predictable because you had what is it? You had this level right here. Market already respected it. It's nothing more than a retested breakdown. So here, and it went down, then it went up and up thrusted. So you had this up thrust. I don't have the up thrust. Right there. So those are the positions of the market where, basically you have test of breakouts, low bar, high bar test, support resistance test, or support or spring and up thrust. So this is just the spring and up thrust. There was a test here that offered a opportunity, but this was, I think it was after hours. And then eventually it just up thrusted and fell. All right, so we want to mark the levels. Right? Anyway, so actually this is quite high. And so is this. So what we'll just do is examine how the spring or up thrust here occurred. So the market went into up thrust position, and as you know, the markets typically they terminate on climaxes. Right? They terminate on climaxes. There are some other ways to terminate, some more sophisticated ways, but it's right here. You had your climax. I mean, technically, the market session start, there was a climax, but this is also a climax. The volume is very high here. And I explained that this is effort. Why? Because 11 is really 110,000 shares versus 90,000 shares and couldn't really do any much damage. It's already at a resistance level. So, I mean, it's already at a resistance level. And then after that, what you want to see are breaks and confirmations and all of that. So what happened was the market went to a resistance level. And then you had your first 15 minutes of selling right here. Then after that, there was about 3 minute and 3 minute and a break right there. So this was actually a selling change of behavior, but it's very difficult to see because it's not it's more time, but I would like more price damage because the prior waves had more price damage, right? Like over here 217, this is only 171. In any case, up, the areas where you knew there was a big problem was right here. Because here, this is your lack of demand. So as you know, after you have a rally up or a rally down, typically the market pulls back and does a consolidation. And then when it does a consolidation, what you will get is you will get either dullness or you'll get weakness. Weakness as in lack of demand or lack of supply, which is typically represented with low volume, small price waves, and not enough time. So this is an ideal case where you have tap, tap, and then you have about 20 S&P stocks falling right here. And so tap, tap, break, and then this was really nice in that 18 minutes into an upthrust position. What do you know? You know that it's in an upthrust position and it's not breaking out. Why? How could you be, you're breaking the high there, but not breaking out. So it's opportune time for the reversal to occur. So it goes into an up thrust position, and you're going to notice some key behaviors. So I'm going to try to explain them. When you have this type of behavior right here, the small bars, small bars, what does that represent? A number of ways to understand that, but basically it's all comes down to lack of demand pressure. That's what happens when there's a lack of activity. The bars become very small. So what you want to see is on any pullback, you want to see those bars getting smaller and smaller, because they represent that the pullback is ending. So if this is the break, this is the pullback, and you have small bars, which means that there's no activity. That's one way. The other way is in distribution and accumulation. The end of distribution and accumulation have this type of thing usually occurring, meaning there's a lack of activity, and what that represents is the end of distribution or the end of accumulation. So you'll see this many times on pullbacks, and if you were to use a point and figure chart, it would look like a gun. Like it would be like a bunch of X's and then a bunch of XO, almost like the barrel of a gun, and then it breaks. So this is very common. This happens like all the time. And I want to give a little more explanation about pullbacks. I think that folks just don't understand pullbacks. So here, for example, what do you see? You see that the pullbacks right here, it's getting weaker. Right here, when you have contraction like that, this is an indication that activity is dying down and it might reverse, and it does. Boom, activity in the other way, in the other direction. So pullback done, and we're going the other way. Same thing here. This is why these small candles are so important. It has nothing to do with the doji, or it has nothing to do with any type of pattern. It actually has everything to do with range. The range of the bar from high to low, when it starts shrinking like that, it means that there's an end of activity. It's the selling pressure has abated. And then when you have buying pressure after that in the other direction, it means that the market is ready to go in the other direction. So this is very important. The other thing I wanted to talk about was time, the element of time. If you see this wave here, it goes up for 9 minutes and 3:16, whatever, ticks, whatever. Then it comes down for 12 minutes and does 2:18. So which side is duller? Which side is more active and which side is dull? Well, activity or speed here has to be on the demand side, because it did more movement in less time. And here it did less movement in more time. So this wave here is dull, meaning again that the selling pressure is abating. This is one of the qualities of selling pressure or buying pressure, or basically supply and demand. You will detect weakness in at least 2 ways, one of which is dullness. And if you were to use volume, it would look like F a reward. But the idea is you have all these bars, and they're small bars, and they take up a lot of time, and they can't break a low or break a high. The angle also is not a sharp angle. So you can see that this fits the bill. You just compare the rally time and the pullback time. More pullback time, less damage, and a reversal. So it's going to go the other way. This is one of the ways to read supply and demand. All right, here, for example, you have this selling 15 minutes And this is the second way. So this you have 15 minutes, and then tap, tap, tap here. When you have this, okay, the first way I explained it was dullness. The first way I explained weakness was dullness, all right, where it takes a lot of time, but it really can't break a low. The second way you'll find dullness is small waves that do not last long and have little volume. Weakness comes in small waves. Small waves. This is weakness. This is weakness. Small wave, small wave. After that, you have a break. Why? Because what happens after weakness? Weakness begets strength. After weakness, what happens? Strength from the bulls. Okay? So again, you see this very clearly. The bulls come in and they have good price damage, meaning they break 1, 2, 3 lows, contraction low. Now you want to see the pullback. The pullback shows you dullness. Why? More time, less price movement. It could not break a high. More time on the up wave than the down wave that was unable to break the prior high. So this is another form of weakness. So what does this mean? This means that you have weakness in the form of small waves, which typically last only 1 bar. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. Weakness expresses itself in 2 ways. One is in small waves, which typically last only 1 bar. And the second is with dullness. So in this situation, you have weakness in the form of a small wave that only lasted 3 minutes, another small wave which only lasted 3 minutes, emphasizing the weakness, a break, and then a pullback, emphasizing the weakness in another form called dullness. This is dullness. Why is it dullness? You got a lot of bars, but they're unable to break out above the high. Why is the prior wave weak? Because it only lasts 1 bar. It only lasts 1 bar, it's weak. A 1 bar wave is weak. If you can't remember anything else, just remember that. A 1 bar wave is weak. And a wave with too many bars that is unable to break a high or low relative to its prior wave is weak. Meaning this wave here broke a low, 12 minutes does 190 ticks. The pullback lasted much more time, but did less damage. And you can see how the bars contracts. You see those squeezing? You can barely read the numbers. That squeezing is weakness, meaning demand is not there. All right, so weakness here, I've explained in actually 3 ways. One is 1 bar waves are weak. Second is a lot of bars that are unable to break a high or a low. And the third way is very small bars. Very small bars like this is also weakness. All right, so from a price action perspective, small bars weak. From a wave perspective, 1 bar is weak, as well as dullness, which is when you have a rally and then the pullback has a lot of bars that is unable to break a low or a high, it is weak. So you have those indications of weak, 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 and you also have an indication of somewhat of strength. It's not as overt as I would like it to be, but this bar here, you see the expansion. If weakness is small bars, what is strength? Bigger bars. Bars that are big, especially if the bar after it is getting bigger, because that has evidence of liquidation. So, meaning sell more, sell more, sell more. So, small bars weak, big bars strong, and expanding. After that, you have the breakdown right here, and then it goes down. And now we're going to examine the pullbacks. Again, as soon as they get small, boom. As soon as those bars get small, right? Small break, small break. This is all weak, slight pressure here, right? But right here is where you can tell the weakness again came about because of the small bars. You have 100 here, and then what happened? Small, 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 confirmed by liquidation where? 69.81. These 45, 69, actually 41, 45, 69, 81, expansion to the downside. Then on the pullback, what do you get? 104, 40, 60, then 37, then 66, and then here, for this you can barely read. You know there's weakness, and what happens? Break. Pullback, weakness, weakness, break. So this is more along the lines of Wyckoff bar reading. As you know, he does not use patterns, but what he will use when examining bars is their properties of high, low, close. And when you take a look at those three properties, what do you get? High and a low is what? It's its range. So if you have small range, it's weak. When you also have small range, you typically get shorting of the thrust. When you also have small range, you also get clustered closes. They all happen because the range contracts. So that's what happens. So this is really this is more along the way that Wyckoff explained when he talked about bars. It's really important, just to hone in on what high, low, close, and the relationship of that to the prior bars. And you'll see basically what are the only combinations: high, low, range, and the close taking out the prior bars, high or low, right? And also the close in relation to the high or low, giving wicks, making those wicks. See? So anyway, so the story for today is that what identified weakness was these small one-bar waves, along with dullness, with strength on the downside in the background, with a breakdown, and that's all she wrote. Now, the final thing I want to mention is that you had a resistance level here. What happened when you went into resistance? You found resistance. How did you find resistance? Climactic action. Right here, how do you know? It goes 5, 9, 11. But 11 is greater than 9, but it could not push further. That's a problem. What happens after that? Volume expands on the supply side, going from 3 to 6, doubling. After that, you have some shit in the middle. You can't really read because it's getting ready to break. So what happens is, typically you'll see this type of pattern. You'll see that it becomes it contracts, volume contracts both demand and supply. They really contract, then it breaks. In this case, you had some dullness, some effort, whatever you want to call it, and doesn't really make a higher high. See the waves to red, then it breaks. All right, hope you learned something. Have a good day. Bye.